Hey there, YouTubers and collectors. This is Salvador Los Angeles with my review of the brand new Elder Predator version 2 from the motion picture Predator 2, made by NECA. This is a redo of a previously released figure. That's why it says Elder Predator V2 for version 2. New additional articulation includes flintlock pistol and sword. Aliases: Golden Angel, Grayback. Weapons: 18th century flintlock pistol and cutlass. I think cutlass is another name for the sword. Elder Predator is the ancient veteran leader of the Lost Predators, and he gifts Detective Harrigan his pistol as a sign of respect as a capable hunter and honorable warrior. Also available, Elder Predator there on the right, and then Predator in the middle and Predator on the left. I forgot their names. Salvador Los Angeles with my review of the brand new version 2 Elder Predator from the motion picture Predator 2, made by NECA. And I thank you for watching. Elder Predator comes with a spare right hand. Comes with his sword. He comes with his shoulder cannon, which will attach onto his left shoulder. It does appear very fragile. It appears very fragile. Be careful with that. But it attaches here on the bottom, and then on the top up here on a little nub there. And then he comes with his trademark pistol. Alright, now we have Elder out of his packaging. And the main reason for this review is not just to review this particular figure, but I'm going to compare it to the original release so we can see exactly what the differences are. Because I understand the differences are not only in the posability, but there are some paint detail differences as well. Great looking face. I really do like the Elder Predator. He's got a, what would be the equivalent of a lip ring, but it hangs from his mandible there. He's got a great looking face. I probably should have done this review with a black background, but, you know, hindsight. Great looking profile. I gotta admit, I'm a sucker for the NECA Predator figures. However, I must say there are some quality control issues lately in their later releases. For example, his head pops off very well. It's not doing it now because I snapped it back on, but his head did come off fairly easily, so be careful with that. This tubing here, which attaches onto the back of his arm, that just popped right out real easily. So be careful with this figure. It may not be as tough as he looks, but you know, he's old. He's a senior. Things start to break down, you know, as we get older. So the blades do come out like that. And his detail overall is quite exceptional. He's got his, we would call this a man purse, or a merce. He's got that. Satchel, I wonder what's inside of there. He's got little bones here around his necklace. He's got his sheath for his sword, and the sword does fit nicely into the sheath, like so. Yeah, I think it can go in either way. Yeah, either way it can go in. And from the back he has his loincloth. There's his underwear. And here are his dreads. Let's check out his dreads. They've got an interesting gray color to them. And they do feel pretty neat. Check out those predator feet. He has no sandals. Some predators you may know have sandals. This guy can go ahead and go barefoot. So there's the bottoms of his feet. Wonderful detail on these predator figures. I mean, I can see why they're so popular. I really do love them myself. I mean, some people go crazy over them, but I mean, I can see what people are going nuts over. I mean, these figures do represent NECA at their finest, I believe. So here is Elder Predator fully equipped. He's got his shoulder cannon on his left shoulder. I swapped out his right hand for the alternative right hand, and he does hold the gun quite nicely. Let's get a nice close-up on that gun. So you see there, his index finger will even go through the trigger, so that looks really nice. And then there is a sword in his left hand. Head goes around. He can look, nah, not down so much. He doesn't look down so much and doesn't look up so much. So his head mainly goes around. And then his shoulder, You got to look out because he has this little cable here, this little tube here. So his shoulder can only go around so much, but it can go in and out a little bit and around. But again, be careful for that. It's the same on both shoulders, I believe. The left, you have a little more freedom. You can go around all the way on his left. He doesn't have that tube that he has. I'm sorry, you can go all the way around on his right. He doesn't have the tube that is there on his left. His elbows do bend, and then I believe, yes, they do bend and swivel. Both sides. Probably the same thing here. You know what? Maybe this is meant to disconnect so that you can swivel his elbow. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do a 360-degree swivel of his elbow. So maybe this thing is meant to pop out and you can stick it right back in. Although I don't think it really goes in so nicely. Just kind of sticks there a little bit. I think they could have made this, let's stick that in a little better. He has wrist mobility, a little bit of swivel, mainly, I'm sorry, a little bit of rotation, mainly a swivel. Hey, listen guys, I've had a lot of vodka, cut me some slack. He's got a lot of movement in his wrist. Same thing on his right. Got the waist, twist, and then the hips, I believe, is where they made some changes. You can hear ratchets, listen to that. I don't know if you can pick that up on the camera, but you can do lots of movement in his hips. You can go wide like so. And you can go splits like so. So he's got a lot of movement in both left and right. He's got a double jointed knee, both on left and right. And then he has swivel and a little bit of pivot. In his ankle. So here are both Predators side by side. The one on the right is the original release of the Elder, and the one on the left is the new version, version 2. And one thing, in checking articulation, oh, this is such a sad day. Look, I busted his leg. I busted this leg trying to move it. So this thing has been sitting around since the figures first came out, and it's sitting on a shelf in my display case. So I tried to move that left leg, and bam, it snapped. So be careful. Just be careful moving joints. I would say that NECA has been guilty of making weak joints at times, and it's quite possible that they're so anxious to churn out these Predator figures that they have been lacking in the quality control. So as far as differences, one thing I definitely noticed is that I think that the cannon, this cannon right here, is just a lot better and seems more durable. This cannon right here just seems a little more durable than this one. I have to believe that the older version doesn't come with a spare right hand, and that's why I have his gun here in his waist, because he didn't have a spare right hand. If he would have had a spare right hand, I probably just would have swapped out that hand and had the gun in his hand just like I did with the new one. So that's the difference there with that. The new version has a lot of mobility in the hip, a swivel, and then it has a slice in the mid-thigh. So that's the difference, and then it only has a single joint knee, of which I broke. And I think we knew this going into it, is that they gave us a new and improved hip and leg articulation, double jointed knee, and a lot of rotation at the hip that the first version did not have. We also got a spare right hand. I think it's the same sword, and I think it's the same gun. Now, as far as the paint, you notice the difference in the paint, the hair color. Definitely a difference in those hair colors. The one on the right, the original, is a little more black, and the one on the left is a little more gray. I really like the two of them. I mean, I just wish I hadn't broken the leg on this one. But what that means is that they could be brothers. You know, it doesn't have to be, in my world, you know, anyway, in my world, in Los Angeles. These, even though that's where Predator 2 occurred, right? Predator 2 happened in Los Angeles. But in my world, these are actually two brothers, rather than the same figure. I think some people complain that the eyes in the original are red and the eyes in the new one are not red. I think they said the red is movie accurate. Well, if we're going for movie accuracy, it's probably possible that the original one is more movie accurate. The sheath is pretty different. If you notice the sheath on the version 2 on the right, loincloth is a different color. Version 1 wears sandals. Version 2 does not wear sandals. Okay, there's a side-by-side of the feet, and the feet look very different. Foot on the right is version 2, foot on the left is version 1. This has been Salvador Los Angeles, and I have just had a look at the version 2 Elder Predator by NECA from the motion picture Predator 2, and did a comparison with the original release, and I thank you for watching. Respect your elders, folks. Anybody want to buy a version 1 Elder Predator?